This lesson is going to be on converting fractions to decimals and decimals to fractions. But before we look at those conversions, we're going to look at some vocabulary related to decimals. There are two specific types of decimals that we're going to talk about today. One is terminating decimal. A terminating decimal is a decimal whose digits end. So as you can see from the examples, 2,500 and 189 thousandths are terminating decimals because the decimals end. They don't go on and on and on. The second type of decimal we're going to talk about today is repeating decimals. A decimal whose digits repeat in groups of one or more without end are repeating decimals. So for example here, 0.833333, these dots at the end show that this is a repeating decimal. It goes on and does not end. The same with this one, 0.080808 with the dots. Goes on and on without end. The 0.8 repeats in the second one. The 3 only repeats in the one above. Bar notation is a notation that's used in repeating decimals, so you don't have to write the number with the dots afterwards. It's a line or bar that is placed over the digits that repeat. So for example here, 2.63 with the line over it means 2.63636363 ... But to save room in your writing, the most simplified way to write it is with the line over the top. We're now going to look at a few examples. To begin, we're going to write each fraction as a decimal. Use a bar notation to show a repeating decimal. This can be done in a calculator. So 3/5, the fraction bar means to divide. So I would take 3 divided by 5, and my decimal is 6/10. So I would then write in 0.6. Then I go on to 5/16 in my calculator. 5 divided by 16. That equals 0.3125 or 3,125 10,000ths. I would do the same for 3/20. 3/20 works out to be 0.15 or 1500ths. Notice it was a negative 3/20. If the fraction is negative, so is the decimal. 5/8 would be 0.625 or 625 thousandths. The first four have all been terminating decimals. They're decimals that end. However, you're going to find now when I put 2/3 into my calculator, two divided by 3, you're going to find that I get 0.6666666 and goes all the way to the end of my calculator. When that happens, I can assume it's a repeating decimal. So I could write this as negative 0.6 with the line over the 6 because the 6 is the number that repeats. Let's try 7/9. In my calculator, I do 7 divided by 9, and you're going to see I come up with 0.77777 repeating. So again, to write that as a decimal, I'd write negative 0.7, the line over it to show repeating. I could also write either of these as negative 0.777 with dots following it, but the best way and most simplified way to write it is with simply the bar notation. When it comes to writing each decimal as a fraction in simplest form, you use its place value. So in this case, this is 55/100ths, so my fraction would be 55/100ths. And then I simplify. 55/100ths is 11/20. Their greatest common factor is 5. For number 8, it would be a negative fraction because it's a negative decimal. 5 is your whole number, and 36 hundredths, which simplifies down to negative 5 and 9/25. Their greatest common factor being 4. Number 9 would be negative 1, and the 3 is in the tens place, so it would be 3/10. Okay. When we get to repeating decimals, it gets a little trickier because there is no ending place value to go off of, like the hundredths and the tenths that we used here. A quick, fast rule to know about repeating decimals, number 10 should look familiar to you. This is 1/3, or we could also write it as 3/9. When one number repeats, it is that number over 9, 3/9. It's close to 3/10, but not quite, so 3/9. Just as in this one, number 12 would be negative 2 and 5/9, because the 5 repeats, and it's only one number repeating, so it would be over 9. In the case of number 11, it would be 16 that repeats. Because 2 numbers repeat, it is over 99. If 3 numbers were to repeat, it would be over 999. Thank you. I look forward to working with you more in class on this concept.